today is a poem by Emily Dickinson. And indeed, if the term can be used about poetry, it's a famous poem. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Success in circuit lies. Too bright for our infirm delight, the truth's superb surprise, as lightning to the children eased with explanation kind. The truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. Now, taken simply, the question is Emily Dickinson telling us that we really can't tell the truth? And is this the opening line that begins, tell all the truth, but tell it slant? Is that, in effect, a misdirection, if you will? Because the truth is only the truth to the degree that it is told directly. That's one way of reading the poem. But the other way of reading the poem is that sometimes the only way to get the truth through is not to hit somebody over the head with it. It can't be absorbed. And what she's saying is, really, tell all the truth. But it's in the telling, in the way we tell it, that we will either succeed in arriving at the truth or not. And the examples she gives are examples that when we're speaking to children, in which case success in circuit lies. In circuit, of course, means in going around. So sometimes to get from one point to another point, the shortest distance is not a straight line, but rather a longer, more rounded or twisted road. Why? Because too bright for our infirm delight, too bright, we'll be blinded by it. For our infirm delight, we are somehow lacking in the capacity. We are, if you will, to put it in quotation marks, not completely healthy, not completely capable. The truth which is too bright for our infirm delight, and that what makes it too strong or too difficult, because it's a superb surprise. We just can't believe it. I can't believe it. That's what we say when we're surprised. As lightning to the children eased. Children, they hear lightning, they hear thunder, they see lightning, they hear thunder, they're scared. So we explain it to them with explanation kind. We make it easier for them. The truth, so too, the truth must dazzle. Yes, it will dazzle. We will be enlightened and dazzled by it, but you don't come to being dazzled right away. It's overwhelming. It comes only gradually, or every man be blind. Be blinded means we'll be overwhelmed by the truth. We won't be able to absorb it, and then we'll never get to the truth. Now, of course, the question here, Jewishly, is, depending on how we read the poem, is whether or not a lie is permissible. Indeed, it could be argued that, if you will, in philosophy, there is a theory that one can never lie. It's associated with the German philosopher Kant and is called a categorical imperative. You must never do a certain thing, no matter what the circumstances are. And for Kant, one of the important categorical imperatives is never to lie. There's nothing that excuses a lie. This approach might be echoed in a pasuk in the Torah, which is a very strange wording of the pasuk, if you will. The Torah tells us not to lie, seemingly, but it phrases this lotase, this negative commandment, in a way that doesn't treat other negative commandments. In other words, we can't eat non-kosher food. It doesn't tell you, say, stay far away from non-kosher food. The only lotase, the only negative commandment in the Torah in which we are told to stay at great distance from being in its province, even if you will, is the lie. Midvar, sheker, tirchak. Stay far away from the lie. Midvar, sheker, tirchak. Far away. On the other hand, we have ample halachic legal considerations. There is a Gemara in Bava Metzia, on Daf Chav Gimel and Beis, which speaks about three categories or three situations in which Talmidei Chachamim, scholars, are supposed to lie almost. They should lie. And then, who is it who doesn't know, if they've been at a wedding, that we are singing a song in which we take a song, words from the Gemara, but we skip a few words. The Gemara in Ketuvot, on Daf Tet Zayin Amud Beit, asks the following question: Tanu Rabbanan, Keitzad Mirakdim Lifnei HaKala. How do you dance before the Kala? Which Rashi interprets to mean, what do you say when you're dancing before? What are you expressing? Now, anybody who knows the song knows. So the answer is kalana v'chasuda, kalana v'chasuda, etc., depending on what niggin you sing. So the answer is, you say that the kala is beautiful. But we actually skip some words, because if we were to sing the whole song, we would sing it this way: Keitza miraktim lifnei kala, Beit Shammai omrim kala kamot shehi. Beit Shammai is of the opinion is you say the truth, kala kamot shehi, as she is, and it's Beit Hillel omrim who says kala nava chasuda. So we've skipped Beit Shammai. Why did Beit Shammai say what they've said? Overland Beit Shammai, I'm reading on in the Gemara, the Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai protested to Beit Hillel. Harei shaita chigeret asuma, omrim la kala nava chasuda. Let's say she wasn't beautiful. You say kala nava chasuda. V'hatorah amra, doesn't the Torah say, midvar sheker tirchak, stay far away from a lie? Beit Hillel does give an answer. The answer sounds at first a little strange. I leave it to you to work it out. Beit Shammai says, Beit Hillel says, well, what else would you say if somebody buys something and they ask you, I bought this suit, how does it look? And really, as far as you're concerned, it looks ugly. What do you say? You say, oh, very nice, right? And we draw a conclusion from there, says the Gemara, that a person should always, his opinion should always be acceptable and pleasant among people. Okay? Some argument about Torah and perhaps derech eretz kadma Torah, and how is that proof? Okay, all those are questions. But this is one way of looking at the whole story, right? And these are the questions that are raised. I'm not trying to resolve the questions here. There's another way of looking at this poem. And the other way of looking at this poem is about the very limitations we have of language and capacity of understanding. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant is part of the nature of reality, certainly ultimate reality. What I mean by this is as follows. We know, even if you haven't read the Rambam in the first chapter of the book of knowledge of Sefer Mana, which begins the Mishnah Torah. But generally we know at a certain age, even if we have sung Anim Zemirot, which is all about what I'm about to tell you now, and we sang it at an age that we didn't understand what we were singing about, what we were saying in this great poem. But the poem is about the inability of language to capture the truth of God, the ultimate truth. And that inability of language is a map of reality, but a map of reality that is always approximate, because reality, the tree after all, is not a tree. It is what it is. This problem of language is the problem of language that is addressed in the Torah's speaking of God. When you're speaking of God, the ultimate reality, and therefore far beyond any reality that we're familiar with in the so-called real world, this problem of reality is dealt with by speaking of God in human terms. These human terms are what we call mashal, or metaphor. And the Rambam makes it explicit that all the descriptions of God as God's arm, as God's eyes, as God's hearing, and so on and so forth, all of them are only a mashal, only a metaphor. Only a metaphor. And even the poem here, which speaks of the truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind, or too bright for our infirm delight, the light of God. Or, as Moshe Rabbeinu sought to find, the face of God. And it is the back of God, v'ra'ita tachorai, that he can see, not the face of God. But Moshe, seeing as much as the back, his face shines. One step further with this argument, and which is the argument perhaps that Emily Dickinson means, tell all the truth. It is all the truth, as much as it can be told, but it must be told slant, not merely because we're not, we're children, but because being human, we can't see, we can't hear beyond the physical understandings. And so this poem may be a poem, it may be understood as the human being discovers God, if you will, as Avram discovers God in the Midrash. And he's asking questions. And the world is lit up. The palace is lit up that the traveler in this Midrash sees. And Avram is left with the question until God peeks out at him through the lattices of the windows of the palace and reveals himself. This is perhaps ultimately an understanding of why the name of God, Yud He Vav He, which Maimonides in the Guide for the Perplexed simply says that God is saying, I am because I am. In the King James Version, I am that I am, which makes no reasonable or logical sense to us, because we're not familiar with things that are simply because they are. Everything has an antecedent. But what it's saying is, and what we say is, that we don't say the name Yud He and Vav He. We speak of the God that we know, and instead of pronouncing the name of God, we say God as Adon, as the master of the universe. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. All language, ultimately, is a slant way of speaking of reality.